The southwest border is a hotbed of drug smuggling, from the ports of entry to sophisticated tunnels built by the cartels to defeat the border wall. Every day brings something new from the cartels, and agents continue the uphill battle of trying to stop them. This is the San Diego sector of the southern border. On the other side, Tijuana. Border Patrol says this area has a history of violence going back decades.
A lot of this area was extremely dangerous to patrol. A lot of assaults, a lot of agents were getting injured patrolling this area.
The Sinaloa cartel works this sector. Its boss, Joaquin Guzman, better known as El Chapo, was arrested in 2016 and is serving a life sentence in the United States. The cartel is the most powerful and violent drug organization in Mexico.
People to say that it's not a war, I would beg those people to get on the internet and search what's going on in Mexico. We're talking tens of thousands of people are dying every year from cartel violence. If that's not a war, I don't know what is.
The cartel is the largest smugglers of drugs into the U.S., drugs that will eventually make their way to Omaha.
We've been discovering tunnels, trying to beat our infrastructure since the early 90s. And just recently here in San Diego, we discovered the world's longest tunnel that was most likely used for narcotic smuggling.
Tunnels like this have been discovered in this sector of the border. Some are sophisticated networks defeating the border wall by going underneath.
The cartels it seems like they have an endless supply of money, and they have nothing but time, and they come up with some really innovative ways to smuggle their product into the country.
The tunnels pop out on the U.S. side, in most cases into a warehouse, and there's a lot around here.
This area is also known where a lot of tunnels are discovered. They're able to blend in with the local traffic and a lot of the warehouse buildings, and a lot of the intel that we gather is just from people seeing stuff, if something's out of place, normally, see something, say something.
In our visit in February, we're shown the new border wall.
You'll notice on the south side, bordering Mexico, we have an 18-foot steel bollard fence with 5-foot anti-climb plate. We have about roughly 150 foot of an enforcement zone, but then throughout here we also have stadium-style lighting and we have remote video surveillance. And then we also, on the north side, we have the 30-foot steel bollard-style fence.
A cornerstone of President Trump's push to increase security along the southern border. The San Diego sector includes 14 miles of new fencing. Just to give you the idea of the scope and pace of this operation, all this behind me, about 2.5 miles, wasn't here just a year ago. When we visited in February, construction was still underway. It was completed this summer. It's cost around $153 million. The San Diego sector is the most fortified across the southern border.
This wall system, the border infrastructure system, gives me time. So that's one of the issues. When you don't have any infrastructure, individuals could drive straight across the border, they could run straight across the border, they could pass drugs and other weapons or anything you can imagine.
It replaces decades-old fencing.
This kind of shows how the infrastructure has changed throughout the years. This right here, they doubled up during the construction time, but this was really only about 6 to 8 feet. This is the corrugated steel they were talking about, the old Vietnam-style landing mat.
Agents say smugglers use basic power tools to defeat it.
We got all these ends, like all these upside-down U's cut. That was all from power tools. They would come, they wait for the fog to roll in, and they would make these cuts, and then when border agents aren't around, drugs and illegal traffic would go through.
While the new wall does provide more of an obstacle to smugglers, the California Border Patrol says there was at least 18 breaches or attempted breaches in a single month last year. Agents say with the new wall brings interesting new tactics.
Maybe a 16-year-old kid was using a remote control RC car to drive drugs across, and they were loading into a duffel bag.
Whether it's going through a tunnel, coming across in a vehicle, crossing in a backpack, flying it through, little hang gliders. Now they're using drones. I mean, there is no end to their imaginative skills.
It's a cat and mouse game, changing constantly. No matter how hard the fight to stop the drugs, the flow of dangerous narcotics continues, plaguing communities across the country.
there's a lot of land to cover and a lot of different ways that drugs are coming in, and we simply just can't stop it.
From the southern border, it gets dispersed across the country and here in the Midwest.
To give you kind of put it in perspective, last year we seized, just the DEA here in Omaha seized 250 pounds of meth, which is a lot of methamphetamine for this region. Years prior, we seized 80 pounds.
A problem that just won't go away.
The only way we win this is we got to have people stop wanting it.
In our next segment, we go from the border to Omaha. We examine the impact the drug war has on our city and our state and the toll it has taken on so many lives. Jeff Van Sant, 3 News Now.
Now, for more on this story and all of our investigative team stories, you can go to our website, 3newsnow.com. And if you have a story idea for the investigators, you can email it to them at investigate@3newsnow.com.